momentum shift. Changes of existences. Slipped out of all the consciousness. And they was just trying to whip me. Can't put the foot in the mouth. This how it went down. They ain't listen, so I turned. Bitches sitting out. God is almighty, I know I could've done better. You done it, show me your love vectors. Imagine knowing me, knowing how you really felt. Feelings all inside my eyes red. Cried till I got numb. Living a lie, ended up a bum. Numb to this cold world, slumped in the slums. Missing the last buzz, brighter futures involved. Darker days, shadow. Brighter days, shadowless. So today I'm here to talk about some crazy shit. Such as Taoism and Buddhism. I believe life is Taijitu, because most people consider it yin and yang, I guess. Okay, so as far as Taoism is concerned, there's 3 starting steps of learning Taoism. One is don't concentrate on the meaning of Tao. That's the overall balance, completion, wholeness. Number 2 is Taoism should be understood as a being, a system of beliefs, attitudes, and practices towards the service and living to a person's nature. That means being who you are necessarily. Being free to understand your blessings that you give, as well as your afflictions that you cause. Knowing how sometimes it's bad to do good, but sometimes it's good to do bad. It's a little bit of everything and everything, but for the bigger picture, that's the environment each one of these gems live in. I guess you can call it that. Number 3, the path of understanding Taoism is simple. Accepting one's whole self. Live life and discover who you are. Your nature is ever changing, it's always the same. Don't try to resolve the various contradictions in life. Instead, learn to accept your nature as the whole completeness. In the whole completeness. Learn to accept your nature as the whole completeness. In the whole completeness. So, you have a complete entity inside of a bigger complete entity. You have the small picture that's fulfilled, it's complete, it's whole. But then you have the big picture. Or look at this. You have a state inside of a country. You have a state inside of a country. You have a country inside of a continent. You have a continent inside of a region of the world. But then you have a world in a universe. It never stops. It's infinite. You can't escape it because it's existence. Some tips I can give as far as Taoism is concerned: having a set of basic guidelines to help you understand that by living we express our nature. Some guidelines are: with care, I assist those who are an extended expression of myself, my nature. Be true to me and extensions of me. Connect to the world as I want to be treated. That doesn't mean necessarily ignore people's accommodations. Let's say it like that. That concept, it gets to, people tend to misuse that phrase a lot. The golden rule: treat others how you want to be treated. it's too situational nowadays. Let's put it like that. If you scratch somebody's back, they're gonna scratch your back. But if you got a pimple on your back and you want somebody to pop a fucking pimple on your back, and the other person doesn't have a pimple on their back, how are you gonna return the favor, right? You can't. It's impossible. It's too detailed. You're not accepting someone's wholeness. So say it as the golden rule to give exactly what you got. Connect to those outside of my nature with decisive actions. My fault. Stay silent around those unwilling to accept me for my true nature. No actions are required. Don't disturb their true natures. Let people be. When you realize that someone can't fuck with you or unwilling to fuck with you, let them be. You don't gotta remove yourself necessarily. Just let them be. Let them do them. Y'all can be together. Y'all just know for a fact y'all play different roles in the coexistence. Not all the time do you have to remove oppositions or an equivalent out of your life. Opposition just mean equivalent. They do the same thing you do, just on a different side. You have male, you have female. Males are leader in a male way. Females are leaders in a feminine way. You have children that are grown in their own way, but then you have adults that are children in their own way. Sometimes you gotta appreciate an equivalent or opposition, the opposite of you, because that's the thing that's keeping you how you are on your side of the tracks. Because you could have been just like them. Life is a fight against your disbeliefs, but sometimes it don't have to be. We own nothing. We're just passings. We're just a passing of items outside of our own nature. Meaning, our bodies and our brain and our minds come from an overall collective consciousness. But our consciousness made us different for a reason. I can't necessarily say that I'm you and you're me. If I'm a shadow and you're a shadowless, these are the words for my tribe, which I'm gonna break it down for you. So a shadow, my vocabulary, is entities that we cannot understand fully, but we know entirely. A shadowless is entities that we can understand fully, but cannot know entirely. I'm gonna let that sink in for a little bit. My vocabulary: shadow, Xado, entities that we cannot understand fully, but know entirely. We acknowledge them. We can see them, but we don't know it. We can't identify. Shadowless entity or shadowless, same spelling, just LES on the end of it. Entities that we can understand fully, but we cannot know entirely. It's parts of them that's still missing, but we understand that it's missing. They're incomplete. You understand? But we know that. Discover a set of practices to aid in keeping the mind, body, and spirit engaged and strong. Practices should support your essence with activities fitting the needs of the moment. Your life practices will end up being a shifting mix. Hold on, I'm slurring my words. I do this shit often. Your life practices will end up being an ever-shifting mix of activities relative to your needs. Things that help you examine, utilize, and grow yourself and the world around you. So if you're involved in activities that's self-destructive to the point where you can't recover from it, or it's hurting the environment around you, you shouldn't be doing it. Unless that's the goal. Because you realize you're capable of self-destructing. It's either you stop being self-destructive, or you be the self-destructive the most, to where you can't you can't bother nobody, and you have an environment suited for you in your self-destruction. You have your own realm, your own place where you can be yourself, or just stop. As far as Buddhism is concerned, a couple of the moral codes of Buddhism, it's called the 5 precepts. Refrain from killing. And this one is about protecting lives, cultivating a kindness towards other beings. But this one right here, it usually means you gotta stop eating meat. A vegetarian is usually the person who will fit this the most, because you can't partake in no form of destruction. This one right here, Buddhism, will fit inside of the yin part of the Taijitu. You can't kill, you can't participate in the killing, you can't reap the rewards of something that has been killed. That means no stealing from dead bodies, nigga. If the butcher or the slaughterhouse then killed an animal, you don't go and eat its skin or its flesh or none of that shit. You gotta refrain from stealing. If it hasn't been given to you, you can't touch it. That's basically it. If it hasn't been given to you, you have no entitlement, no obligations to even touch it. Don't look at it, don't think about it, nothing. It's not yours. Mind your business. The next one, the third one, refrain from sensual misconduct. This one right here, it just means overindulging. Don't be a greedy fuck nigga. This means anything from overeating, being over sexualized, over cocky, confident, overly depressed, shit like that. It's about balance. It's the reason why it's in my spiritual beliefs, because it fits, it belongs. Remember what I said. I'm not gonna touch it if it ain't mine, if it don't apply to me. That means no overindulging in sex and no crazy shit like that. The fourth one is refrain from lying. All of these are very hard to do in American society, because this is what people are brought up to believe. They were believed to overindulge, to kill, to steal, to survive. A lot of these people will do just to survive. But at the end of the day, in my belief, if you have to do one of these things, then you should be dead anyway. If you can't survive without being transformed, then you might as well die anyway. You're a fucking slave anyway. You're forced to do something that you don't want to do. You might as well be dead anyway. Refrain from lying for real. That means no half truths, no exaggerations or understatements, because this causes a lot of confusion and chaos and disharmony inside the world, and ultimately it's going to come back to you, and you're going to have to clean it up because you started it. It's your problem. Nobody else's responsibility to fix this shit besides you, unless it's going to consume your ass, because you created a being or a set of beings that's bigger than you and you couldn't control it. That's overindulgence. You made yourself a pile of shit that was too big for you to control and maintain by overindulging in dumb shit like lying and half-truths and understatements. Refrain from drugs and alcohol. Being intoxicated, it erodes the wisdom, the things that you learned previous in your life. Being high, being drunk, you forget all of these fucking teachings that you learned. The more intoxicated you are, man, the more you're not yourself. Just let that sink in for a minute. If I was to drink, I don't drink to get drunk. Let's say it like that. I'm not perfect, but I'm dead already. This being under the influence and intoxicated to where you're not yourself, this one is the biggest in quotation marks, air quotes, the biggest sin. Because being intoxicated will cause you to break all other rules. Being high is going to cause you to break all other precepts. Overindulging, lying, fighting, and a lot of that shit will lead up to somebody getting killed, whether accidentally or on purpose. Too many people got killed and too many people died because they was intoxicated because they didn't know no better. The way of Buddhist prayers is very simple shit. We practice aspiring to let go of everything. Pray, but not with the expectation that anyone is listening to you. So when you pray to manifest. You pray to summon. You pray to conjure. You pray to bring things into existence. Not to ask for something to be in front of you. You know it's going to happen. Don't pray for no materialistic things. You got to pray for more energy, understandings, connections, shit like that. Attracting, ways to attract whatever you want rather than praying for what you want. If that makes sense to the rest of the world. Pray to go get off your ass and go get it. That's the type of shit we gonna pray for. Get off your ass and go get it. Not have it brought to you. Pray that you're strong enough that you can actually maintain it when you got it. Pray that you can do something with it once you got it. You can appreciate its value once you've held it, once you acknowledge it, and pray that you can be understanding why you have to let it go. You can appreciate having to let it go. Because you know when it come back to you, it's going to be better than ever. You're going to connect with it more than ever. That's one of the most beautiful feelings in the whole realm of life. Having to let something go and connect with it even stronger than ever. That type of shit got you willing to let everything go. Everything go. Everything come back upgraded. We are just voicing an aspiration that we become able to extend compassion and wisdom to ourselves and to others. That means if I love myself, I pray that I can love myself. I pray that me loving myself can love you. And I pray I never fall out of love with myself to where I cannot love you. God, pray to discover awakening. Pray without limitations of our individual preferences. Pray with open mind. When you have an open mind, you have open things, more variety of things that will come to you. New energies, new feelings, new thoughts, new ideas, new expressions, new practicalities, new ways of doing things. You become a new person that the world has never even seen before. A new entity that society cannot control nor hold. Life itself can't even hold you after a while because you change lives. Life as you know it will never be the same no more. You are the bearer of change, of life. So when people come see you, they know for a fact their life will be changed. You are outside of the previous matrix. You are the creative new ones. Pray for deep unconditional wakefulness, not based upon the preferences of the ego. When you pray, remain humility. You pray with a sense of humility because you have to ask. Asking should be filled with humility, humbleness, understanding that you aren't perfect. It's the only reason why you pray, because you know you're not perfect. Alright, this is a couple little shit. This is the meaning of malas. Malas are prayer beads. I use my Ankh necklace as my prayer beads. So what you do, this isn't a 108 mala. This is a regular Ankh necklace, but I use it anyway. You find, like, we're gonna call the Ankh hair. The tip of the Ankh hair will be considered the guru bead. You start at the guru bead. You hold it in your two fingers like this, and you pull it. You count every bead. As when you use your thumb and your index finger to pull the bead towards you, you say your mantra. Mantra is a chant for whatever you need, whatever you want. It's not necessarily a prayer, it's a chant, a way to empower, a way to change vibration, a way to produce energy as well as to receive energy. It's a way to use your frequency to attract as well as to repel, to emit, to radiate. It's like a heartbeat with your voice. You have to sit with your spine straight. Sit in a comfortable position with your spine straight. Get your chakras already flowing. Get your energies flowing. Get your juices flowing. Get your body in a suitable state to receive from the universe as well as the earth, the environment. While you meditate, because these prayer beads are used in meditation as well as prayer. When you say your mantra, that's a form of meditation, not prayer. It's meditation. Mudras are hand gestures that you use. You keep your hands in certain positions to allow certain energies and vibrations to actually attract to you from the universe and from the earth and your environment. Abaha is no fear. Abaha is no fear. You hold your palm like this outwards. People usually use this for the hand gesture stop. You hold it at chest length or a little bit higher, slightly higher, not too high, but just slightly higher outwards as you pray. This is a word that came from Sanskrit. It actually means fearlessness. Well, it's translated from Sanskrit and it translates to fearlessness, my fault. I don't want to give you guys any false information. That'd be against my beliefs. Alright, a couple Buddhist terms are, I'm not going to give you, it's a lot of Buddhist, it's a whole language. So if you don't know the language because you aren't it, then I suggest you research and study yourself, and if you fuck with it, you like it, then it's a way of life, way to live. You have Badi. This is a Palestinian and Sanskrit word. It means enlightenment, awakening. Brahma, heavenly or sublime abode, the heavenly house, the heavenly state, the heavenly realm, whatever you, heavenly space, a sanctuary. The four mind states. The four mind states said to lead to the rebirth in the heavenly realm, which is the four mindsets or states are loving kindness, which is metta, compassion, which is karuna, appreciative joy, mudita, and equanimity, upekkha. This means ultimately the equilibrium, the balance of the spectrum. And I'm going to break down the Taijitu to you, what you consider the yin and yang sign, symbol, whatever. See how you did that? Sign or symbol, they mean two different things, but they can be used interchangeably. Even the words sign and symbol is a representation of my lifestyle. Well, the definition of Taijitu is yin and yang, two halves that together complete wholeness. Yin and yang are also the starting point for change. When something is whole by definition, it's unchanging and complete. So when you split something into two halves, yin, yang, it upsets the equilibrium of wholeness. Both halves chasing after each other as they seek a new balance within each other, with each other. So, like I said before, life is just a fight against your disbeliefs. But how can you disbelieve something if you don't believe in something? Basic concepts defining the nature of the yin and yang. Neither yin nor yang is absolute. Nothing is completely yin or completely yang. So you're always going to have duality in the mix of the situation. If you can only see one side of the situation, then you're already losing the game. Because everything that exists has two sides to it. Depending on how you're looking at it. It has three sides. Depending on how you look at it. It has four sides. Depending on how you look at it. And I'm going to break it down a little bit later. Yin and yang is not static. That means they flow within each other. They flow through each other. They're not one spot. It's always going to be good and the bad. And it's always going to be bad and the good. So your current perception of what's good, there's bad in it. And when you perceive that shit as bad, once you realize that you have a bad situation inside of a good situation, you can always find a good situation back inside that bad situation that's inside a good situation. But then it gets deep. It's non-stop. And when you realize this, you don't stress no more. Stress is pointless. Because you realize all you have to do is find happiness in that stressful situation. You gotta find the good. What's the good that can come out of it? When you start perceiving, that's when you get surprised by whatever, the good or the bad. Whatever is inside that situation that you're currently experiencing, that's what you're going to perceive until you stop perceiving what you need to perceive about that situation. Until you get to a complete wholeness about that situation. Or you can agree to disagree about that situation. And it'll be the complete wholeness, the right thing to do. Without a good or bad, because you walk away with the good and bad of that situation. It gets really deep, and a lot of people who don't like to scratch the surface of their own life, they will never understand this fully. I can understand this. That is a good thing, that's a bad thing. That's just the balance of the world. It's because the people that don't know anything, they're very intelligent subconsciously. They're very intelligent unconscious. So when somebody calls somebody dumb, that person is not necessarily dumb. That person's just less conscious. And that's not always a bad thing. You have to say things like that, because if not, people are going to just think life is all bad or all good, and it's not. It will never be, unless you see it like that, good and the bad. You have to take both. That's why Christians believe God split the firmament. Some people only see one side of the split. The other people only see the other side of the split. But at the end of the day, just because they're split, it's all water. Regardless. It's all water. Regardless. If it's split water, combined water, it's still fucking water. The summation of yin and yang form as a whole. One effect of this is, as one aspect increases, the other decreases to maintain the overall balance of the whole. That means you're always going to have a masculine and a feminine within each side of the yin and yang. So inside of the yin world, we're going to take away the words yin and yang. We're going to just use phrases like good and bad. So if in a good situation, you have minimum amount of bad. But in a bad situation, you have a minimum amount of good. You have one that's alpha and one that plays the beta. You have one that takes lead, but then you have one that is submissive to that leader, depending on which side they play, depending on which one is leading at that current time. You can have the balance of yin and yang can be skewed due to outside influences. Four possible imbalances exist: deficiency yang, deficiency yin, excess yang, or excess yin. It means not enough good, not enough bad, too much good, too much bad. These imbalances can be paired, so an excess of yin can be paired. So an excess of yin can also simulate a yang deficiency and vice versa. As an example, this concept is especially important for Chinese healing practitioners. I'm not Chinese necessarily, but I do vibe closely with a history of Chinese based on my own bloodline, based on my own belief systems, my own upbringing, good and bad, bad and good, or just not too good, or just not too bad. Stuff like this, it confuses people because it sounds like a riddle all the time. Like, why are you trying to riddle all the time? But it's not necessarily a riddle. It's just the way it is. I can see life different because I can understand that there's chambers like a heart. It's exactly like how a heart, you have 4 different chambers of your heart. Then you have valves in your heart. If one of your valves in your heart don't close all the way, they call it mitral valve, where your blood flows in and out back inside of itself. Your blood flows out of your heart, then it flows back inside your heart. So every time you pump your heart, you have heart murmurs. And eventually, that's how you die. It's because you either have too much inside of you, or you pump too much out of you. Okay, look. Yin can be subdivided into additional yin and yang aspects. Example, a yang aspect of heat can be subdivided into a yin, warm, or a yang, burning. The concept of heat itself can be split up. The good aspect, in quotation marks, would be a warm feeling. A yang aspect would be burning. That would be bad, depending on how you're looking at it. That's ultimately the perception of what I'm talking about. When you look at the Taijitu, the yin and yang symbol, it all depends how you look at it. Because when somebody else look at it, they're going to see something completely different based on what they know and what they actually perceive. Only the people with the true visions of reality can see it for what it is, the wholeness. Otherwise, people take the middle path, and I'm going to get to all that shit later. Yin and yang represents general oppositions, general polar oppositions. So, if you know anything about colors, the opposite of red is not blue, is green. That's the polar opposite of red. The polar opposite of blue is actually orange. As far as yang, sunny side of a hill, positive polarity, expansion, warm, bright, strong, masculine. Yin, shady side of the hill, negative polarity, contracting, cool, dark, weak, gentle, feminine. The whole Taijitu, the product of the yin and yang blending together to form a new set of observations and transformations. Yin will have a small amount of yang in it. Yang will also have a small amount of yin in it. I also included my own belief system. I haven't named them yet, but that'll be a next video when I break this shit down. We're gonna do a couple more breakdowns of how this shit actually works. I'm not gonna tell you all my personal beliefs about this and how far I come with my understanding about how this works for me in my life and how I apply it to my everyday life. This is just the overall general understanding of how you can use it and what it does and how to see it. The dots in each serve as a reminder that there are always traces of one in the other. For example, there's always light within dark. Example, you have the stars in the night, the stars in the night sky. These qualities are never completely one or the other. It's never completely one or the other. It's always a blend, whether it's primary or secondary. They always gonna play them roles. It's like how water and earth is. Water and dirt. You usually see water with dirt all the time, but the complete wholeness would be like a beach. You understand? The complete wholeness is a beach, what we call a beach, or a beach, where the middle path will be the shore, and people like to walk along the shore a lot. Man, it should get real deep. You know how people believe in there's four, like in a lot of Western civilization, like especially in America, they believe there's only 4 elements. Earth, water, wind, fire. I don't believe in 4 elements alone. There's too many elements to actually describe and to implement within each other, because each one of these actually has a counterpart inside of it. They have a blend within themselves. They blend together. They blend each other for each other to create new all the time. The individual aspects of the Taijitu, the yin and yang symbol, is the outer circle represents everything in the universe as well as the universe itself. It holds the duality of everything that exists. The black section represents yin, female. This energy is the opposite of yang energy, masculine. Passive is yin energy, is restive and receptive. But I'm gonna give you some slight examples. The light section, yang, represents masculine, light, south, fire, active, sun, heaven, warm, young, odd numbers, mountains, rich, hard, provides form for all things. The middle path represents The between the extremes of yin and yang is where harmonious and balanced answers are required and expressed. This is where you find your answers at when you are needing to understand why things aren't coming together. People walk the middle path to understand why things aren't coming together. But sometimes you walking the middle path is the reason why things aren't coming together. Because they're trying to blend and you're the things that's separating it. With that being said, darker rises shadow, brighter days shadowless. When I say darker days, that's for the shadows. Because like I said, shadows are entities that we cannot understand fully but know entirely. Shadowless entities we can understand fully but we cannot know entirely. So for the people that feel like they're misunderstood, darker rising shadow. For the people that feel like they're well known, brighter days shadowless. We are dualities within ourselves, for ourselves, by ourselves, where we are each other's, we are our own best friend and worst enemies in the same body. Hopefully this allows you to have a brighter understanding on darker days. And I hope you have darker days when you have too much bright days that end up burning your skin off. Enjoy the shade on the bright days. And enjoy the bright days when you feel like you're having the darkest of them. Until then, you know where to find me at.